Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Supporting Local South Jordan. I'm Erin Maloof, and I have the honor of being here with Betty DeLass, owner of Reborn Pelvic Health and Wellness. Yep. Thanks for being with us, Betty.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So tell us a little bit about your business. How did you get into this?
Yeah, great question. So I've been a PT for 10 years, and then I had my own children. And I was like, oh, we need to do better.
Things are different.
Yeah, we need to do way better. So that's really what prompted it, is having my own children. I've always been interested in pelvic health, but there was always someone who was already doing it. It wasn't as big of a thing as it's becoming now. And so I had the opportunity to be like, all right, this is what I'm doing. And so I got into pelvic health, and then just kind of like it lit a huge passion in me and then took off from there. So that's kind of where it all started. And then I actually started the company in a different state.
Really?
In Nebraska during 2020.
Nice.
And then when we moved here, I just brought it here because I was only open for maybe like 2 months. And then we're like, okay, yeah, this is working. Let's just start it up in Salt Lake when we moved there. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I'm grateful that you're here.
Yes.
I've come to your clinic here in West Jordan, but you also have one in
Provo. Yep.
Okay.
And then we have one coming in Logan in 2023.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. Yay. So there's something for everybody, everywhere. So tell me a little bit about, I was really surprised when I came here about how little I knew about pelvic health.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about some of the surprising things that people experience when they come in here.
Yeah. Sometimes people think that we're like, when you hear pelvic health, you think, oh, Kegels. Kegels, that's what you do. You just do some more Kegels. Well, first of all, if Kegels worked, I wouldn't have a job.
Yes.
And two, people would actually do them. So Kegels are not the answer to everything. So that's one thing we really want to make sure people are aware of. Like, it's way, way, way more complex than Kegels alone. And honestly, we're not big fans of Kegels anyway. So we really dive into how the body moves as a whole piece. And so we do a whole body movement analysis on you to figure out what's limiting you in different areas. So we're PTs first, orthopedic PTs, and pelvic PTs. And then we encompass all that we take in, including the internal exam, to figure out, okay, what's causing the symptoms that you're having. Because we could have 10 people come in and complain about leaking when they cough or sneeze or jump, but it's for 10 different reasons too. So we really want to get to the root cause of what's happening. And so a lot of people are just blown away kind of just by like how much we dive into detail on things and how intricate things are pieced together. And that's really like what people are like, oh, I didn't realize like how much I'm getting out of this. Because most doctors' visits are like 6 minutes on average.
Yeah.
Well, we spend one-on-one with our patients for an entire hour each session and really get to know people and work with them in their bodies and really devise out a plan that really gets them to where they want to be.
Love that. Okay. My next question would be, is this just for women?
Great question. So we specialize in owners of a vagina is what we like to say to be encompassing there. But pelvic health can be for anyone. So everybody and every body has a pelvic floor. So there's different niches within pelvic health. So we particularly specialize in before, during, and after pregnancy, because that's where my passion came from out of Reborn. And then there's also male, there's also transgender, there's also pediatrics, oncology, all those sorts of pieces that people can really dive down and niche into. And there's pelvic floor therapists that specialize in each area of those things too. So all sorts of things.
Yes, very, very large there. Perfect. I think, is there anything that you want people to know before calling? If they're interested, if they have questions, is there anything that someone may need to know before they call you?
Just call. Like, that's honestly the thing. Like, most people are surprised by what we can help them with. So calling and not being afraid to like just pick up the phone, check out our website, things like that. We have a ton of free information, things that you can read to kind of get familiarize yourself with what we do and how we do things. And then other than that, like, just come with an open mind of like, okay, I'm here to like really work on some stuff and ultimately change my life.
Yes. And that did, like I said, I've been here, and obviously for pregnancy, having that heavy pelvic floor feeling. And I assumed that my muscles were too loose. And I found out through you guys that they were too tight.
Yep.
My pelvis is too strong.
Yep.
And I loved that it wasn't just like we did the stretches. she tried to, you know, place things, doing the full exam. But talk about dry needling, because it is my favorite thing.
Yes.
Favorite.
Yes. So dry needling is a modality that we use in our therapy to help with both decreased pain, increased mobility, and activation patterns, as well as a whole host of other things. So I'll get kind of nerdy on you with this here. So most people think, oh, acupuncture. It's the same needle, but acupuncture is Eastern medicine, Chinese medicine, chi energy, acupuncture points. And so totally different than what dry needling is. In dry needling, we really go into the trigger points of the muscle to elicit a twitch response, which kind of resets the muscle a little bit.
Okay.
So if you have your muscle like this, it contracts and relaxes back and forth. When it's contracted down and not moving, you have like a trigger point or a knot, which most people can appreciate and be like, oh yeah, I know I have this like knot in my shoulder that I can't get rid of, right? You have those all over your body. Some of them are active, some of them are latent, not causing pain. But when it gets contracted down like that, what happens is blood flow drops, oxygen drops, pH drops, and these neuropeptide chemicals sit there and signal to your brain pain, sharp, dull, stiff, whatever your brain's perception of that is, and can create dysfunction in movement patterns and things like that, are not firing the way it should, pulling certain torques through your pelvis and all sorts of stuff. So what we do is we take a dry needle into that muscle trigger point to create a local twitch response. So when we stick it in and it twitches and it goes like that, what happens is it twitches kind of like your eyelid twitches, you know, with some spicy, sparkly electricity, even though we don't have any electricity associated with it. And then immediately blood flow comes back in, oxygen comes back in, the pH gets restored, and neuropeptide chemicals release. And you already have better activation, mobility, less pain, all sorts of stuff like that. So it seems quite magical when it happens. You're like, whoa, what just happened? This is amazing.
It is magic. I can attest. It is magic.
But really it's science. Seems magical, but 100% science.
Oh, I love that. I love that. What would you say if someone comes in is typically the goal? Because I mean, you think of like chiropractors and you're like, oh my gosh, if I go to a chiropractor, I'm going to have to go forever, right? Because they adjust me and then they have to readjust me. Mm-hmm. So when someone comes here, what is typically that goal? Is it a long-term thing, or is it something that you're trying to help people kind of manage it on their own?
That's a fabulous question. So we look at it at twofold, and I'll kind of go specifically through treatment plan and then kind of big picture too. So when you come in, our first goal is to figure out what's going on and why, and then really decreasing your symptoms first. So that's really that first phase. And we usually see people once a week for an hour during that time, pretty regularly until symptoms go away, whether that's leaking, pain with intercourse, tailbone pain, back pain, SI joint pain, prolapse symptoms, whatever they're coming in for. Once their symptoms resolve, then we drop down frequency of visits. So we'll space those things out to every other week, every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks. Can be a whole host of different variations there depending on what that person's individual goals are. So like mom just wants to walk around the stroller or around the block with her stroller, looks a lot different than mom wanting to get back to marathon training, right?
Yes.
And so that will be catered differently depending on what that individual's goal is. And so that phase of treatment we call building resiliency. So we add back things back in, build the resiliency in your body, getting you stronger, all that stuff like that, while maintaining no symptoms. Because oftentimes when we add things back in, symptoms might creep up a little bit, but we don't want to let you go if things are creeping back up, because usually it's a quick fix or a quick tweak here or that, and then you can get right back on track to where your goals are. Once we've accomplished that phase, then we switch into the optimal vagina phase. And that is when you're living life to the fullest, not even thinking about your pelvic floor or anything else, and you can do everything you want to do. And that's really when we kind of give it back to the patient of, you let us know if you need a tune-up, or you want to come in for just a dry needle session, or you're pregnant again, that kind of thing like that. So that's kind of our philosophy on care, is like a treatment plan. But then overall, like, we want you to be patients for life too. Like if you have another pregnancy, or heaven forbid you fall down the stairs and tweak your knee or your ankle, like we're here for all of that too. Your body is the only car you have, and you can't trade it in, right?
Yes.
and
yes.
Even the cars that we do have, we take in for regular maintenance work as well. Same thing for dentistry, right? You go get your teeth cleaned every 6 months. Why wouldn't you have your body assessed and looked at from a movement perspective to make sure it's optimally functioning, because this is your only car, right?
Yes. Yes. I love that. So we can have problematic, we can have preventative, and then just regular maintenance.
Yep.
I love that.
And we also see people for just performance too.
Nice.
Yeah, so the whole gamut.
I love that. I love
Yep.
that. Amazing. Was there anything else you'd like to add, just sort of in wrapping up? I
Yeah.
mean, your business has changed my life.
Aw.
It is hard to be pregnant, but it's harder
Yeah.
when you have pain just walking across the room.
Totally.
So I am so
Totally.
grateful that I found you,
Oh.
and I'm glad that we're able to get your voice out there. But yeah,
Yeah.
anything else you want people to know?
The only thing I would want people to know is just that new standard of care, and most people are always hoping that this is standard of care, but really that's what we've done is changed standard of care. And like standard of care is going to pelvic rehab when you are pregnant and postpartum, and that's just what you should do instead of just wishing that's what you could do. So that's really what we've done is really change that standard of care. And then the other thing is just that we are literally here, and which is why I love that you said that like it changed your life, because that's our mission, is to change the world one vagina at a time. So thanks for being part of that.
Yes, well, thank you for having me and helping me.
Yeah.
And if you guys need anything, all of Betty's information is going to be on the screen. We'll get her new location in Logan when that's up and running, but we'll have everything for West Jordan and Provo so that you'll be able to reach out to her so that you can set appointments and come in and change your life as well. So thank you so much for being with us today. Again, I'm Erin Maloof with Maloof Real Estate. Have a great day.